My name is Gerry Adams. I was born in Belfast 59 years ago. I was born into a very poor, working class community in the Falls Road in West Belfast. We didn't know we were poor because everybody else was poor as well. I was the eldest of what became a family of 10 children. My mother actually was pregnant with 13 children, and 3 died at birth or shortly afterwards. And I was part of a wider family. Both my mother and father came from large families as well. And I can't remember this, of course, but we lived with my granny. Later on, when I became older, I went back to live with my granny, which was quite a common occurrence, and she was hugely influential on me. And we lived, as many families did, with other members of the family, and then for a short period in a tenement block in a little place called Greencastle, which is on the shore of Belfast Lough. And then somewhere when I was 5 or 6 or 7, my mother succeeded in getting a house, a council house, public housing, on the slopes of the Black Mountain, a place called Ballymurphy. And the whole family lived there. And in fact, 5 or 6 of my brothers and sisters still live there. My mother, my Granny Adams, my father, of course, my Uncle Paddy, who I got to know, who did a bit of writing, who was hugely tolerant, self-educated, was a builder's labourer, but read voraciously and was very knowledgeable. And my family, by the way, and I didn't know this, and I still am getting the extent of this as I get older myself. My family, both on my mother's side, my mother's name was Hanaway, and my father's side were political families. My paternal grandfather died quite early, and I never knew him, but he had been a member of the Fenian movement. My father and a number of my uncles were imprisoned in the 30s into the 40s as IRA prisoners. On my mother's side, her father was a trade union official. He had been married twice. His first wife was also a trade union official. In a local newspaper, they have a little column which looks at the past. I think it's called Window into the Past, or Remembering the Past. And one day I saw a little piece which was produced from a newspaper of about 19 and 21, or thereabouts. And it spoke about this funeral for this woman who had been a trade union official and was my grandfather's first wife. And I remember my aunt, her daughter, who was then 80, saying, "Why didn't anyone tell me about my mummy?" I just thought it was really evocative of how women are written out of history, and how this woman, and the small piece wrote about shops closing along the route of the funeral, and how important she'd been in championing particularly women's causes within, women weren't organised within the labour movement at that time. So I just thought that was evocative and also illustrative of how women are written out of history. But her husband, who later married her sister actually, was a supporter of Dail Eireann, had worked with James Connolly, who were both leaders of the Irish struggle. James Connolly was a labour leader, was executed by the British in 1916. So, as I say, as I still pick up bits and pieces of family history, I wasn't reared in a very political atmosphere. At that time, I suppose, in the 50s, northern, I suppose, people who would be Republicans or nationalists kept their heads down. There was a lot of poverty, as I've said, a lot of emigration, bad housing, discrimination. It was very much an orange state, very sectarian place. So I was reared more in an Irish ambience, you know, a little bit of Irish spoken around the house. And my granny was also a great reader, and she used to bring me to the public library, the Carnegie Library on the Falls Road, and introduced me to reading at a relatively early age. I'm the only member of my family who wears spectacles, because I used to read under the bedclothes and read by the light of the street lamp, which was outside the door.